Thank you. It's crowded here because of how active folks in Long Island are on the issue of tobacco abuse and tobacco addiction. I'm Eric Schneiderman, New York State Attorney General, and we're here to announce the filing of 6 lawsuits, and we are here to do it today in Nassau County. This is my first visit to my regional office here. Because the community here has been particularly active and particularly helpful in our efforts to fight against big tobacco and deal with the health problems, the tax loss problems, and all the other problems that cigarette addiction causes. So I'm proud to be here today, joined not just by the folks from my regional office, Valerie Singleton, who is running things here, but also by the representatives of some of the groups who make our work in this area not just possible, but successful. The Tobacco Action Coalition of Long Island, the American Lung Association, Healthy Schools New York, and the Manhasset Community Coalition Against Substance Abuse. Thank you very much for being with us here today. The Attorney General's office is really the first line of defense in New York State against consumer fraud and against abuse by powerful interests. In the internet age, this has become even more challenging. As one of my colleagues really said recently, the internet is the crime scene of the 21st century. And we're here today to announce that with our allies, we're launching a new effort to stand up to big tobacco, stand up to those who would evade the law, and frankly, reach out particularly to children in our state and in other states to try and get them hooked on cigarettes. So we're filing 6 lawsuits against internet operators whose websites unlawfully sold cigarettes to New York customers. They didn't just break the law by selling cigarettes and avoiding taxes. They made it easier for New Yorkers, particularly children, to get cigarettes and to get hooked on cigarettes. And these are cartons that were shipped in many cases from outside of the United States to New York customers. We know that in New York, every year, 24,100 children get hooked on cigarettes, become daily smokers. And the whole purpose of the structure of our laws, which has gradually been limiting access to cigarettes, raising taxes to discourage people from buying cigarettes, limiting the places that you can smoke, is to break a huge public health problem. This has been one of the primary methods of evasion of every effort we're making in the state of New York and in the country to reduce the national tragedy of tobacco addiction. So we understand that in these hard economic times, it's very important for us to collect sales taxes, which they are evading by using this illegal method of internet sales, but it's also a huge public health problem. We pay billions of dollars in this country to deal with the public health problems caused by tobacco addiction, and we know that higher taxes actually do deter smoking. So these guys are costing us money by tax evasion. They're getting more people hooked on cigarettes, and they're creating and adding to a huge public health problem. So I want to applaud our Tobacco Compliance Bureau Chief, Dana Lieberman, who's here with me today, and her team for their impressive work on the cases, and to recognize the advocates who stand here with me. Our office has announced a couple of new initiatives. The major one we rolled out last week is our Taxpayer Protection Unit, which is the first anti-fraud operation in the state of New York directed at state and local governments, stopping contractors from ripping them off. For years, we've had a Medicaid fraud control unit here and in every other state. This is an effort to stop road contractors, building service contractors, people who supply food to schools. Tens of billions of dollars a year that state and local governments contract out in New York. My first stop after announcing that unit is Long Island, because you have more taxing jurisdictions here than anywhere else in the state, if not the world. And a lot of them are very small and don't really have the wherewithal, they don't have inspectors general, to police fraud by contractors. So we're here to talk to the folks in our office about that, encourage people in Long Island to get involved. This is a whistleblower law. People can turn in corrupt contractors. The state gets triple damages and civil penalties. We know there are billions of dollars left on the table, and we want to make a special effort in Long Island to cut down on that. And we're also here, quite frankly, in recognition of the fact that the community groups that fight for public health and fight for the abuses by tobacco companies and unscrupulous sellers in Long Island are probably better organized, more aggressive than any place else in the state. This really is a model for the work of people who support public health and are willing to fight against the tobacco industry in support of that effort. So it gives me a great pleasure now to introduce Susan Kennedy, the director of the Tobacco Action Coalition of Long Island, a tireless advocate for our communities, fighting for more than 20 years to keep our kids out of big tobacco. Susan.